Greetings. I got a lot to say today, and I'm going to start off by saying all praise is due to Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, and also give respect, and I can never thank him enough, to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and all of his students, including Malcolm and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, also his blood brother, Supreme Minister John Muhammad, and all of his students, including Brother Levi Muhammad and Brother Sami Muhammad. I also like to give a shout out to these young brothers that's on the scene today. Starting with Born Mastermind Allah and True Islam, also known as Brother Wesley Muhammad, Brother Alim Bey, also Brother Tazadak Shaw Bey, and also Brother Nure Muhammad, and we got Mr. Student Ishmael Muhammad, and his brother Muhammad. It's also another brother I like, I think his name is Hakeem Swift. Now, some of these brothers, you know, they may say a word, you know, that is not quite flattering to each other. But I like, you know, how Allah is using these brothers and the way they speak to those that's on their level. Now, what I got to say today is that we got quite a few different points of view, and they call themselves the conscious community. But they are still doing some good in the hood, waking up some of these young brothers to ancient history. And of course, you know, the coming of Master Fard Muhammad opened up the window for ancient history. He went back further than anyone ever in the history of the Aboriginal man. And then after him came several others, modern day Dr. York, and so forth. at some point in time they had something negative to say about the word Islam and the word Muslim. And I can't forget Clarence 13X. Here in Detroit, the brothers here, they don't mention much about Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Every now and then they mention Minister Farrakhan. They never mention Supreme Minister John Muhammad. We also have a brother, he don't stay here, but he oftentimes come here. They call him the Son of Man. And he has a program where I formerly used to do my show called Mind, Body, and Soul. I started off as Flavor Supreme, and I had the Flavor Squad. Well, this brother is Marvin Muhammad, and he has the New Nation of Islam. And every now and then, on occasion, he would say something negative about Mr. Louis Farrakhan in the direction that he's going in. But Mr. Louis Farrakhan is still here. He's still raising the people up. He's doing it his way, but he's also give honors to Supreme Minister. I hardly ever see him mention him, but he's doing good work. I went to the first Million Man March. That was phenomenal. And I went to the one in New York. Also, I was in rank. Then I was in the rank and file. I was in the FOI. Under Minister Daoud. And my lieutenant was Othello, and I was instrumental. I was at 88.1 FM, WGPR. Black man got a station named R.J. Watkins, and I was instrumental on not bringing him, but what I did was we had a radio program. My show was Mind, Body, and Soul. And when Minister Farrakhan visited Detroit, it was at New Bethel. And at that particular time, we was the only one broadcasting his lecture. The other radio and television stations didn't want to do it, but then they later showed up. And also brought Supreme Minister John Muhammad. We did a weekly broadcast. This was when I was just about to get off. And I did a show with the Son of Man, Marvin Muhammad, and one of the Supreme Minister's Sami Muhammad. And I also had a marketplace in front of the studio where I had all the different black vendors come, and it was on Woodward in Highland Park at that time, in front of the radio, television, and TV stations. And I went to Barton Cablevision before he had sold it to Comcast, and studied broadcasting up under a brother named David Rambo. He had Project Bait. He had another program called For My People and Fidamu Productions. And he taught me a lot about camera work and putting on shows, television shows. A lot in his program. And then I went, R.J. Watkins had a workshop for about 13 weeks where we would study radio broadcasting. And we would graduate. He also had a television show called The New Dance Show. Well, I was one of the first brothers that brought talk radio. I had a 4-hour program called Mind, Body, and Soul. I had a crew called the Flavor Squad. Some young brothers younger than me. I believe I was the oldest brother there, and brought a lot of attention to a Michigan Citizen, a black-owned newspaper, and The Final Call. I have a history in the music business. Started off with a brother named Bobby Franklin. He had a group called Bobby Franklin's Saturn Team. We done some things together, and then I had my own group. At that time we were called the Conservatives. Then as time went on, we had various names. We changed our name. Did shows all over Detroit. Did some things in New York. And up in Canada. So we had, I was in the entertainment business. But when I went, after I left the radio station, I started writing a whole lot of music. Got me a little studio and some music equipment. So I left the music business and was waiting on YouTube, something like YouTube to come along, so I wouldn't have no middleman. And I also was a spiritually inclined brother, so I wanted to, and black consciously inclined, so I always put a topic, even when I was in the radio station, with my music. I'm gonna come back with part 2. The name of this is called I Got a Lot to Say. I'm gonna call it Soul's Expression, Black Light, formerly known as Professor Soulskool'n Phenomenal. Shutting this one down. Peace.